Hello, lovers and friends. Welcome to this week's episode. I am going to go right into it because I got a message from a dear sister of mine on Instagram. I love getting the messages on Instagram and being in connection with you guys in that way. I check my DMs personally. My team does all the back end work in regards to the email, but I love to manage my own account because I love to stay connected to everyone. It's a very humbling way, but I also love my Instagram community so much. So if you are not following me on Instagram, you better get your booty over there and follow me at Josephina Bashout. See it in the notes as well, but make sure to do that. And if you are a new listener or new to the community, go over there and send me a DM and say hello. Would love to know and get to know you guys all more personally. So let's get right on into this episode. And I got a message from her. She's beautiful, gorgeous woman. Love her dearly. She's into tapping and has done some really powerful work in the world. She's a leader as well in her own industry in tapping and has traveled all over the world helping people tap away through their limiting beliefs. I can have her on the show, but she sent me a message and I'm going to just actually straight up read it to you all right now. She says, "Hey, Josephina, you sound so juicy, Amor. It sounds so fun, the life that you're living. I would love to hear you talk about how you prepared yourself to receive your man in your life. I was watching you before he came in, and it was so beautiful to witness you really tapping into your feminine juiciness and love for yourself. I would really love to know about the couple power dynamic that you guys have and how you've grown your romance together. I am so here for it." Well, thank you for the note and thank you for that being the inspiration for this podcast episode. So, if you're desiring this breakdown of how I've done it, you're going to want to listen to this episode and you're going to want to make sure to send it to a friend as well. And that way we can all be in these amazing partnerships. So, what did I do? This is a great question. I've never actually taken this question on or broke it down in this way. So, this is a great challenge for me to slow down, to digest it even more, and then to talk with you about what I did tangibly to prepare myself for my partnership. She's spot on in regards of really tapping into my feminine juiciness and loving myself because my partner is a very masculine partner. If you look at the scale of masculinity, he's right up on that masculine scale. He's not all the way at the end because he's sensual and has, softness and empathy and he loves, some beauty. He's a Pisces, so he's like me, he's very romantic. So he's got in touch with his femininity, but he's not a feminine man like at all. He's not a feminine man. He's a very masculine man. He's an athlete. He's a D1 athlete. He's played basketball. He's worked with Tony Robbins. He is a powerhouse, big energy, big man. Like he's a freaking man. A real big man, a really juicy man, my goodness. And in order to prepare for a real big, juicy man, she's right. And that's what she witnessed me was really being in my big, juicy, feminine energy to attract my counterpart. So the thing is, we always attract our counterpart. We always attract our reciprocal. So when I was in my feminine energy, I still had in the journey, in the beginning journey, I still was in my masculine because anytime I'm facilitating in some capacity online, I'm asking questions and I'm holding container and I'm having a bit of a penetrative energy in those spaces. So for running a business, most women have masculine energy and it's great. We need our masculine energy, right? And I actually do think that that was a key piece in preparing me for him was coming into as a part of me being in my feminine, I needed to also make sure that I was in a right relationship with my healthy masculine. And if I wasn't in right relationship with my healthy masculine, I couldn't attract a healthy masculine. So, this episode is about how to really be in that harmonized relationship with your internal masculine so you can flourish in your juicy, fullest feminine expression. Now, I had a really challenging, for some of you that may or may not know, I had a really challenging relationship with my father growing up, had really big, big father wounds, really big father wounds, abandonment. My dad loved us, he loved me. And he also was not emotionally intelligent and equipped in how to handle the feminine and women. And so when I was younger, my dad actually left me and my mom and her whole family and went to the Middle East. And so I really was challenged and struggled most of my life with this unworthiness wound when it came to the masculine. And not only did I feel unworthy, I felt lovable unless I needed to do what he wanted me to do and be more subservient in order to win his love. But when he left, I felt so abandoned and gutted and confused and devastated and hurt when I chose to be with my father, but he chose to not show up for me one morning when I was packed up and ready to go and I had all my things on my doorstep and my dad didn't show up. I waited there from all day till all night and he never showed up. And then I didn't see him for years and years and years or hear from him after that. And so that abandonment wound and lack of trust wound with the masculine was really, really, really predominant in most of my dating experience in all of my life up until I started to do the work around healing the masculine wound and rewriting those stories, which I've done before preparing for my partnership. And I think it's important to say, like, I didn't do therapy on that work. Instead, I did self love, self compassion work around that. And then once my father started coming back into my life, I started to communicate and ask questions and get curious as to what his experience was and why things had happened. And there was some more information I didn't know about. But it's still, even after we started to mend a bit at that time, it still made me feel, I still felt, if I should even claim it even more, I still felt that whole experience made me feel inside. I made myself feel inside very abandoned, very unlovable, very not loved, very much like an afterthought, not worthy. And that was a big thing with my relationship with men. And so, because that was running below the surface, I took that into when I did my master's in spiritual psychology. I did a lot of healing work around that because my relationship prior to my now relationship with my beloved partner, it brought up so much of that material forefront consciously in a healthy way. But before that, it was manifested in very unhealthy ways with me attracting my reciprocal of a verbally abusive relationship and a physically abusive relationship, which would literally, someone would tell me, like, you're a slut for wanting to dress up sexy. You're a slut and a whore for wanting to explore sexually, right? Because I felt that that was bad and wrong based on my culture and my conditioning, being an Egyptian Middle Eastern woman. Like, that's slutty, that's bad, that's haram, right? That's so forbidden and so taboo. Like, you don't even want to talk about it. It's not even worth it. You're not worth it. Your pleasure's not worth it. Your sexuality isn't worth it to talk about and explore. All of those conditionings. And then with the masculine, to prove and to be happy in that tradition, you had to be a virgin in order to be deemed worthy of being a wife material. So if you weren't a virgin, wow, that was like the greatest, worst thing in the world, right? The greatest in the sense where like you were free because you weren't forced to be into marriage, but the worst because then you were seen as like the most low class, trashiest person. And so to unharness and unplug that took a lot of work. And I'm so grateful for my spiritual psychology program and processing, which I bring those really grounded psychology and spirituality tools to my coaching practice and to my clients. Game changing. And I worked with a lot of different plants and a lot of plant medicine to do these generational and ancestral clearing work. And then my tantric somatic practices to unlock it from the body as well. And so I really unhooked a lot of that and shifted who I was attracting and how I was attracting. Now, again, I know that it's a privilege to be able to do types of plant medicines in a very safe way or even have access to it. So I'm not saying that's the end all be all. Don't worry, I have another solution for you. Right? Don't worry. Right? But that was a really powerful piece for me to do ancestral and generational healing. And because I've done it in that way through psychedelics and plant medicine, as well as psychology processes, behavioral psychology, bringing in the spiritual component in the chakra systems and the way that the emotions manifest, this really beautiful, unique body of work that I've created. When I ended that abusive relationship, because I was diagnosed with pre-cervical cancer. It was a no-brainer. But when I was in my relationship previously with my other partner, it was harder for me to unhook and end that relationship because those masculine wounds were so strong with me, and so strong that he was a great guy, but he also was so much more in his feminine that it just triggered my own shadow masculine, my own aggression, my own rage, my own like push and power, and like challenging him to like step up as a man. And when he didn't step up as a man, my masculine would come out and be like, I'm going to crush you. You are nothing. You are little. My masculine would come out to like push and protect to see if he's really a man. Is he really going to step up to me? Is he really going to do it? And so I had this more aggressive, pushy energy when it came to men. And to see if that man is really in his masculine, well, that was unhealthy because then I started to attract men who would challenge my masculine with their masculine aggression, come at me, saying something at me. And then that would just make me want to like armor up more and masculine up more. And here's something that I wish I would have learned and no one taught me, and I learned for myself, is that anytime a woman is in her masculine and she tries to masculine up a true masculine man, he's going to always dominate her with his masculinity because it's his core essence. It's not our core essence. And so it can come out with a lot of explosion, a lot of it could be rage, it could be verbal abuse, it could be big, powerful arguments, it could be raging on each other. It could turn out in some really toxic, chaotic, unhealthy ways. But it could also turn out, right? It could also turn out where you bring that and you try to invoke it out of him, and then something else happens where it actually drops him into his feminine. And that's what was happening in my previous relationship. Was he was dropping more and more into his own feminine, being softer and softer and more go with the flow, because he actually wasn't ready to step up into his masculine. And so trying to masculine up a guy doesn't actually work, and in fact puts us farther away from our feminine essence. And so I share this all with you because the journey to healing my masculine wasn't like a one-time fix all. I want to share the full trajectory more so you have a better way of the land of where you may be and where you might be on your journey of healing the masculine wound within yourself. And for me, after that relationship and after seeing that, I realized, okay, I get to develop a healthy relationship with my masculine in a way that's going to feel really good, in a way that has an expression, but in a way that I'm not living in my masculine. So, to her point, she's like, I've witnessed you really tapping into your feminine juiciness and loving yourself. Well, that's a part of loving myself, is loving my own internal masculine. I can't not love all of me if I'm only loving a part of me and ignoring another part. Same thing with our rage, same thing with our emotions. So for me, it was learning to love and forgive my own internal masculine and beginning to create safety within myself through rituals and routines, and then creating boundaries for myself that would allow me to feel safe in situations and scenarios, to know that I have a choice and I have the power to stay or to leave, to participate or not participate, and that I didn't have to perform for myself in order to give myself that love. So, for example, with work, right? And as I said, if you are a female entrepreneur, you're running your own business with work, right? You may have a masculine. My masculine was like, you got to work, girl. You got to work, 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 work. And it's like, okay, let's go. Let's produce. Let's work. Let's work. Let's work. And then it's like, oh my God, it's working. Let's keep working. Let's keep working. And then it's like, no time to rest, or let's work till 12 o'clock at night and do everything that we can do to be really successful. But then there was no time for the feminine that was like, hey, I just want to roll around in the grass. Hey, I just want to go out on a date and enjoy. Right. And so I started to notice that my masculine internally was kind of like a driver, like my dad, very, very disciplined, very, very nose hard, very much about productivity, right? And needing to get the end result and create safety no matter what. And so it was like, okay, wow, that part of me exists. Beautiful to experience. What are the great parts of my masculine that I can keep? Okay, so my masculine really cares. My masculine, my masculine has made sure that I can always make money and make a living for myself and that I can always be financially free and independent. Wow. I can be really grateful for that part of my masculine who's got my back, where I don't need a sugar daddy, where I don't need to get princess treatment, or I don't need to be in a relationship for finances, or I'm not looking for financial gain from a relationship. Because my masculine inside has got me. Wow. I can be grateful for that. What else about my internal masculine can I be super grateful for? Well, when I drop into my own inner masculine, I feel like no matter what, I'm protected. I feel like no matter what happens in life, I've got me and I can find a solution and figure it out or know the right people that will help me. Wow, that's a really great thing. I trust myself. Wow. I trust my leadership. I trust my ability to make decisions. Wow. Amazing. What else do I really love about my internal masculine? I love my spiritual practice discipline. I love that I show up every day without fail to my spiritual practice, and that requires discipline, which is a masculine trait. I love that part about my masculine. Mm, gorgeous, gorgeous. Thank you. Those are really great. What else do I love? I love my masculine's boundaries. I love that my masculine doesn't take shit from anybody. I love the authority. I love the boundary. I love the stand and the honor and how proud I am to be me and who I have been in my hero's journey and heroine's journey. That untouchable essence. Yes, yes, yes. Pride. Yes, yeah, yeah. I feel it. Warrior energy. Yes. Right? Warrioress. Yes. So proud. Yes. That feels amazing. And now it's like, okay, what part of my masculine am I not wanting to take on and move forward with? Well, the part that needs to prove herself, her worth, her wisdom to anyone or anything. I don't need that part of my masculine. Let me send that part love. The part that's raging or aggressive to get what she wants or to push someone or something in order to gain clarity because she doesn't feel safe in that unknown. Okay, let's work with healing that part, right? Send it love, send it love, send it love and acceptance, right? And know that I don't need to operate in that way, right? And so starting to do that bit of a practice, I can recognize, oh, this is where my feminine wants to come on. This is where the feminine leadership can come forward by letting go of the unhealthy masculine traits that are running in my system that block my feminine from flourishing. You understand that? Yeah. And so as I do that work, for me was that's how I start to actually tap into more and more of the feminine juiciness because the masculine part of me is like, I need to go and penetrate this person. I need to ask some questions. I need to find out if they're ready for a relationship or not. Right. So that masculine part, when I would go on dates, I'd be like, I want a relationship. Do you want a relationship? Are you ready for a relationship? Right. This is what I'm all about. This is what I want. This is what I'm ready for. Right. And men would be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Right. Feminine men would be like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, I can flow with that. Or I'm open to that. And then what would happen is I would attract a feminine man. We would have fun, have some really great sex, they wouldn't call, they would disappear, they were not emotionally available. And then I'd be pissed because I'm like, what the fuck? Why did I spend this time and invest with that person? And they're like open to the flow, but were they really open to the flow? And not recognizing that it was my masculine penetrative energy that was guiding it. And without me constantly guiding it as the masculine does, it's the directionality. Without me guiding it, when a part of my feminine wants them to show up for it, right? And tell me that they want to be my boyfriend and tell me that they want me to be their girlfriend and woo me and cherish me. But there wasn't space for that when I was showing up in my penetrative energy on dates. So it wouldn't last very long. And then I would realize, oh, wow, what is actually happening is my masculine wants something and it's trying to go get it. And it's not giving me the results that I actually want, but the common denominator is me. So how do I shift that? And that's what I started to do to prepare for the partnership that I'm in now. Was I started to do a dating detox where I stopped dating, got off all dating apps, wasn't open to dating anybody, wasn't wanting to connect to anyone, so that I could do some deeper self-forgiveness work on my inner masculine and also some self-forgiveness work on my inner feminine that I judged. That's right. I judged my inner feminine for being too wild, too chaotic, too frenetic, too unstable, right? Not being able to actually be grounded or powerful or leaderful. And that was an insight for me where I recognized I wasn't allowing her to come up to the table because I was actually guarding and protecting her from being hurt from someone again because of that abandonment, because of the physical and emotional abuse that I had experienced. And so I had tucked her away really tightly behind the armor of my masculine because I didn't want her to experience the pain and the hurt again and the loss again. But what I discovered was that there was an underlying belief system that felt like she still wasn't chosen. And so she didn't want to go out in the world and put herself out there in her feminine like she did as a young girl and say, "Hey, here I am, Dad. I'm choosing you. I want you. I'm going to leave all my family and my sisters and my whole life behind, and I'm going to pack my bags and I'm going to be a stand for you and my love and my joy and my innocence with all my suitcases. And I'm going to be there for you because you said you're going to show up for me." And then he never showed up. She didn't want to have that experience again. She definitely didn't want to have that experience again. That was a very painful experience. That was a very confusing experience. That was a very heartbreaking experience. And so the opportunity was to go back to the core root of the wound of where my first feminine heartbreak took place. And that's one of the steps I want you to do if you're preparing yourself for a relationship. I want you to go all the way back to the very first time that your feminine heart felt heartbreak. Maybe it was with your parent. Maybe it was with a boy or a person at school when you were really young that you liked but didn't like you back. There's a moment in there, there's a memory in there. And oftentimes that memory is going to be hidden way down below the surface of the butt of the heart because it's scary to feel that. But the invitation is liberation. So when you go back to feel it, to heal it, to love it, that's when more of your femininity starts to come forward. That's how you tap into your feminine. The feminine is feeling, it's life. Masculine's logic, direction. Feminine is feeling. And so to tap into your feminine, it's to reconnect to your feelings, even if it's rage, even if it's sadness, even if it's anger, even if it's shame, even if it's fear. So that's what I did as a part of the preparation was I went in and I healed that first moment at the root. And when I started to heal it, I felt, wow, she loves so deeply. She loves so, 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 so deeply. And then I realized, wow, that's actually why I was scared. Yeah, that's right. I was scared. Why I was scared to lead with my feminine. Because I didn't know how to lead with her and not get hurt or attached. I didn't know how to lead with such a love that's so deep and so vast that wants to give and share and merge so deeply. And so here comes my masculine, preparing containers for me to flourish. I started to develop my own way of relating. And the way that I would do this is I would tap into my feminine space and I would let myself feel through these feminine embodiment practices, right? This is what I do with my clients when they come to me right? We go on a whole journey together, and I create these containers for our expression and our embodiment at the fullest level, full spectrum. And in those containers, I would let myself unfurl and feel and love and ache and pout and arouse and erotic and everything that I would want to experience. And that was the juiciness. And then when it came time to work, when I worked with women in these containers, I would bring that into the container as a gift for other women to activate that magic. And then when I would go out of work into the world, right, I would circulate it. It was contained, right? It was contained. So I became a magnet on legs, literally. I'd become a magnet on legs by circulating it and feeling it and moving my body and swaying in it, but not penetrating it out into the world. That's a big difference, right? Some women cultivate their energy and then it's messy and it's like all over the world and it's diffused and you're kind of giving it off to everybody. And then you get afraid that you're going to attract the wrong person or someone makes the wrong decisions or the wrong assumptions. The difference that I really did was to magnify and amplify and harness my juicy feminine energy and choose again to not date, to not give it away, to not give it off to anyone. And instead, keep it for myself. And anytime I felt a higher state of pleasure and arousal, I would close my eyes and I would send it back down my spine. I would send it down. Imagine it going down, like dripping down, like sparkly honey down my spine. I have goosebumps now, down all the way into my pussy again. And then feel it juicy. And I'd breathe it up to the front of my pussy and my womb, into my heart and my throat. And I'd make a sound. Usually my sound is like, like I get my sisters to say it. I get my clients to say it. Right. And just be tapped into my energy. And then when I felt like, okay, I know what the energy is, I know the energy that I want to share. How do I want to start to not only, because now I've tapped into it, how do I love myself in the process of now attracting this partnership of being a magnet on legs? So, what would I do there? I would take the time to do a couple of different things. So, I'm going to share with you some of the things that I specifically did to help you as an invitation for you to step into this world of tantric embodiment so that you can also call in your divine beloved partner through the sacred journey that you're going to go on with yourself of awakening, of intimacy, and self discovery. So, let's dive into it. One of the first practices and rituals that I've did that has created profound results for me and my clients is my Egyptian love spell ritual. I actually offer that around Valentine's Day, and I usually only offer it on Valentine's Day unless they're in my one-on-one container. But this was a practice that I came up with in my spiritual psychology program that I used for manifesting my desires like dream opportunities. But instead, this time around, what I did is I did a candle ritual in order to call in the big, big energy. And I won't go into all the details, but I'll share with you this: is you pick a candle, you pick a color. Usually it's pink or it's white or it's gold. Mine was pink. Could be red as well. When they didn't have pink, I chose red. I would light the candle every single day. And I would light it at night before I went to bed when I was feeling the burning desire of having my partner and my partnership with me, but he was not present and materialized yet. When I was doing my little detox, this is when it started. And so as I started to light the candle and I started to give the intention to the candle, I set an intention that this candle, every time I light it, it is lighting the light of my soul so great. The light of his soul sees the light and he comes back home to me. I flipped this whole model on its head from a masculine approach to dating to an ultimate feminine and tantric approach to magnetizing. What that did for me was it gave me the confidence, the certainty, the security, the depth, and the love and the presence to be with the energy more clearly and intentionally of that I wanted to manifest from the inside out. And then that ritual evolved and turned into self pleasuring and doing dances at night for him and speaking to his energy and his soul and writing love and poetry to him like he was here that I will give him. Right. So that's what that kind of turned into at night, which was a beautiful, beautiful practice for heart opening. These heart opening rituals, looking at the candle, singing to the candle, praying to the candle, having an intention of every time I light this candle, it is lighting the light in the beacon of my life to ignite where his light and his soul will see it and he'll come back home to me. And I kind of thought of this analogy as if it was, a sailor that was out to sea and he was always gone and he was always out to sea and his wife would be at home. And every time that sailor would go out, she would never knew when he would come back home. But she knew he existed, but she never knew when he'd come back home. So what did she do? She would go ahead and put a candle on the seal and she would light the candle so that her husband would know whenever he came back that the candle was on, that he was home, that she was thinking of him, and that her light of her love was always there on display for him to see. And I took that analogy from a story in spiritual psychology and I applied that same thing to his spirit. I don't know anyone else that is teaching this particular ritual because it's an Egyptian love ritual. It's not a tantric ritual. It's something that I've created from my lineage line, from my heritage that I channeled through me, and it works. It's worked for my celebrity clients. It's worked for my high level, high end clients. It's worked for all of my clients. And it's worked for every client who's bought it when it's come down and come out on Valentine's Day. It works and it creates a shift in us. How does it work? It creates a shift in our psychology. We now know we can rest, that they're coming. It creates a shift in our energetics because we're giving our love and our light out and we're resting and we're creating it from within. We're not waiting for it to come out. And it also shifts because it opens up our heart somatically, right? From our physiology. We're now opening our heart in our ritual so that we're more connected to love itself. We're being love itself. We're opening to love itself. And what we're doing by that, we're also starting to create a profound trust in life, a trust in love, that love is coming for us because the candle is on, it is lit, we are open, we are in love, and we are love itself. So that which is attracted to itself, we always attract our counterpart. So if I'm being love and being in love and lighting the candle for the love of my life to come home and find me, he's going to come and find me. And he did. He did effortlessly. Another thing that I did and had continued to do was now that I realized, okay, I want to start to date again and go into the dating pool. I did this particular breath work and energy practice that I call the Pussy Priestess Sex Breath. Again, it's a practice. This one is still available on my website. It's a practice that I did specifically to expand and heal my sexual life force energy so that the partners that I would be attracting were at a higher octave. They're at a higher caliber. No more broke ass scrubs. No more guys that were not ready to commit. No more guys that just wanted to fuck and hook up and were wishy washy. Why? Why did this work? Because number one, I was being super clear and clean in my energetics. This breath work takes the energy from our sex center, our lower center, and it actually heals and alchemizes any shame, guilt, fear we have in the lower chakras. And it brings it actually through the transformational process of our heart chakra, our anahata. And that is where the energy gets transformed from just the primal desire for fucking and seeking into higher, more exquisite love frequency, commitment frequency, meeting, devotion frequency. And just simply by even doing this practice day in and day out, it's me devoting myself to me. It's me devoting myself to love. It's me choosing to alchemize and transform even my own primal primitive ways of just wanting to fuck, like what I did a lot in my 20s, into now being like, no, I'm serious. I am ready for divine love. So I'm going to make my sexual energy, I'm going to transform my sexual energy to make sure that it is a match for divine love. And so doing my Pussy Priestess breathwork practice every day, there's a certain mudra that you do with your hands, there's a certain breathing pattern, there's a visualization that you do with the practice. And that now not only is opening up the heart space and connecting me to myself, it's refining and transmuting my lower frequency emotions that are attached to my sexual energy. And it's also bringing myself into a higher heart space, which is helping me create a profound sense, again, of trust in myself, trust in my sexual energy, creating a connection to myself as a whole, bringing my sex to it as a gift and an offering and bringing it into love. And it's transforming my vibe, my essence, everything about me by doing that. And so that practice too, to prepare myself, was to refine my sexual energy, not just hope for it or pray for it or think I'm going to attract it. Because again, we always attract our reciprocal. If I'm having any fear, shame, guilt around my sexuality or my sexual energy, or I'm not connected to that part of me or bringing that part of me in because I'm scared to let my arousal be present in my relationship or even on a date, then that's going to not be conducive for actual authentic intimacy and me really relating to the person in the fullness of who I am and the wholeness of who I am, especially being a sexual being. If I'm afraid of my sexuality in any way, then I'm going to attract a partner who's afraid of their sexuality or has shame or guilt or repression around their sexuality. And I definitely didn't want that. I wanted someone who's going to meet me in liberation and wants to be open to exploring the world of Tantra that I love so much and teach about. Like, of course, I want that in my relational dynamic. So I needed to make sure that I was doing the right work and to be in that right relationship and that higher relationship with my own sexual energy and prowess so that it was contained, not just all over the place. And so from there, what I started to do was I started to go out and I started to date again. And when I was dating, there's actually a whole episode called Dating Differently. You can go back to season 1 and listen to it. There's a formula that I made up that was amazing. It's the triad formula of how to date. It's my secret sauce recipe. So you can go back and listen to it. But the thing that I didn't say all the way on there, which is a part of this question again, is how did I prepare? Was I made sure that when I showed up to these dates that I had already was clear what I wanted in myself. And before I even gave them my time and my energy or show up for a coffee, they didn't get me for dinner. That was too much of a commitment. I needed to make sure that I wanted to actually go to dinner with this person. I'm not looking for a free meal. I'm looking for the right match, right? The right match. And so as I was preparing, I would vet them. I would see if they would call me when I gave them my phone number. If they didn't call me, then cool. You're not a candidate. You're out. And when things seemed like they were dry or there wasn't activity, I would do these practices like I just shared with you, right? I would do these practices. I would look at the candle. I would call my partner in. I would write love letters to him. I would do these heart opening practices. I would do the breath work. And then as I started to date again, more of my energy started to come online because I met some really awesome guys. They were not a match. So a new problem came up, which was how do I actually, like, from as I'm exploring the depth of my love and my energy and my presence, how can I be loving with them when they weren't a match for me? Although they were very, very interested. They're like, wow, you're the most amazing women I've ever met. Some of them even Googled me and were so excited before their dates, being like, oh my God, you are a sex empowerment expert. You're known as the pussy priestess. I'm so excited. And some of them were better as clients. And so the new thing wasn't about being abandoned. The new thing was about how to actually be kind and loving to the masculine outside of myself now that I had a loving, respectful relationship with the masculine inside of myself. So I had to develop a new way to communicate with them that I was not interested. And a friend of mine gave me this really great line that I use all the time with them, which is, this was such a really beautiful time. And I just want to let you know the vibe for me is friendly. And again, I was clear in my communication. I wasn't telling them what it is that I needed and I dated and I want. I was curious. I was on the date. I was exploring with presence. I was receiving information because I wasn't trying to get anything from them. Instead, I was in the seat of choosing. I wasn't no longer in the seat of being chosen because those practices transformed the wounded little girl and the lower sexual energy from needing to get and to be chosen and all of that. It's like in the higher heart. Ooh, I'm a goddess. In the higher heart, I'm a child of God. I am royalty. I am a high priestess of divinity. oh my God, I love myself. I'm accepting myself. I'm so deeply in devotion and understanding. I'm so safe with myself. I'm so good with myself. My man is going to make it so abundantly clear that he is the right one for me. He's going to pursue me. He's going to chase me. He's going to make it be known that he wants me. And the way that I'm going to know is by resting and relaxing into the date and the experience and letting them ask me the questions, letting them penetrate me. And if they don't penetrate me in the conversation and on the date, then I know, right? Then I know that I still have refinement to do in my energetics to keep attracting my counterpart. It's like the dojo. I just keep refining and refining and refining. And then what happened is like, oh, wow, okay, great. Now they're asking more questions, but they're not the right match. And I never went in saying at all, I'm looking for a long term relationship. I'm looking for my soulmate. There was no ever I'm looking for. I'm seeking for. Totally destroy that language because I'm not looking. I'm not seeking. I'm receiving. And I light a candle every day knowing that I am going to be receiving him easily and effortlessly and clearly. You come to the table with something very different, right? You come to the table with your energy purified and fortified through self-love. You come to the table magnetic and alive by tapping into your juicy femininity before the date, after the date, every day. And so instead, you're there to just receive the moment. You're there to receive that person. You're there to receive the presents that they're going to give you. And then you see if they're a right fit or they're not a right fit. And then you make it really clear at the end that you're not looking for friends. If you say the vibe is friendly, like, oh, let's be friends. Again, I was so clear in my energy. I'm not looking for friends at this time. I'm not desiring new friends at this time. What do you mean? Don't you want friends? No, I'm really great with all the friends that I have, actually. Right. And that's how I know that this is not the right match for me, not even romantically, but as a friend. Because if we would be vibing. And so I don't want to waste their time and I don't want to waste my time. And so that's how I started to do it. I got quicker and quicker and faster and better at going into abundance mindset versus scarcity mindset, not being afraid to let people go right away, being the chooser and the picker because I'm in the receiving mode. And that for me was such a sacred, sacred practice of saying no, of using my voice, of owning my power in a way that was loving, in a way that was still giving people presence and hope and making them feel great about themselves, but was also being really honoring for me and, and my time. And that was a lot of the things that I was doing to prepare myself. I would go on dates only if it felt right and fun. I did check out the dating apps, but if a guy wasn't responsive or receptive, I didn't make it mean anything about me. In fact, it's his loss, right? And then I would always make sure that, again, before I open up myself to the person, I got to see and feel is what is this person looking for themselves by what they're sharing with me? What's their lifestyle like? What's their availability like? What's their emotionality like? What's their emotional intelligence like? What's their relationship to themselves, their body, their life, the feminine, their mom, their dad? Like what really is going on with that person before I'd be willing to open up myself again. And actually, during that time, being single, it's in that time frame before I met my fiance. It's actually one of the times that I've had sex the least amount of times in my dating single life. Why? It wasn't because that I felt like having sex would block my energy. In fact, I don't think that at all. I did have a lover that I was seeing in a more open relating dynamic that was giving me emotional needs. And I also was approaching it, like I said, in my triad dating differently episode. But more importantly, I was enjoying the relationship that I was cultivating with his spirit, the non physical version of him. Some may call it Delulu, but it's what I actually did. And it brought me more joy at one point to play in my inner world that I started to shift. And I started to, instead of going out on dates, I would be doing rituals till 2 a.m. in the morning with myself, doing sacred touch practices, thinking of him, calling him in, speaking to him, doing ecstasy techniques and intimacy techniques, clothed and unclothed, dancing and undancing, and rolling around the floor, and really getting into this divine union relationship. I would speak to his soul. I would write the poetry. I would self pleasure and self please, and then devote it and dedicate that pleasure and that orgasm to him in the non physical. And when I started to do that, for me, it was so deeply fulfilling to be making love to his spirit that I started to actually feel, tangibly feel his energy with me, the energy of my partner right now. And this may sound so wild, but this is my unabashed truth, right? This is my truth. I slept with maybe a few people in that little bit of a window. One was a good friend. Another one was an old friend that became a lover very briefly, a lot of play, a lot of sensuality. But when I actually really was like, I'm ready for partnership, I am devoted and ready and in this dance and in this practice, it was a meditation, that breathwork meditation, that at the end of the visualization, I saw a flash of him, big, tall, dark. First time I saw him in a vision, it became real. And then I was like, wow, oh my gosh, he's going to be so big. He's going to be so great. He's going to be tall, dark, and handsome. Like, oh my gosh, like, whoa, 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 whoa. I never expected that. Right. And I didn't get attached to the vision. I just knew that something was being revealed to me. The masculine was being revealed to me. Could I trust? Could I stay present? Could I stay non attached? Could I keep pleasuring myself? Could I be in my meditation? Could I be in my spiritual practice, my tantric practices? Yes, I could, because I was devoted to aligning with that dynamic. And then I remember being on a boat in Mexico in Baja with our friends, and um it was October. It was actually Halloween. And we were out there for a friend's birthday, and I was on a boat with a friend, and it was a full moon, and I set an intention out with my friend. I danced. I was like sending out my big love energy to reunite with my man. Not meet him, not look for him, to reunite. Because I knew by lighting that candle and by changing my belief systems and doing that Egyptian ritual, that I was reuniting with my destiny, that I was reuniting with my soulmate who I had already known for lifetimes beyond. And it was just a reuniting, of finding each other again in this lifetime. That's what I was calling in. That's how I prepared. I prepared for soulmate sacred partnership. I was not preparing for a boyfriend and a relationship. No, I didn't spend my time or my energy or my money on anything less than the investment and the alignment of that. And that's exactly why I've created everything that I've just shared with you here today, of why I've created it, why I've made it accessible. Some of it is available online. Some of it's only available in the container that you would do with working with me. And when I got so clear on that on the boat, and I put that intention out, soulmate, reunited, being reunited with him, being reunited was the words. 2 hours later on the boat coming home, I was sitting next to my friend Katerina, and I will never forget. I was just vibing with myself, like I said, circulating my energy down my spine, not penetrating it, not sharing it with a random guy, just feeling it to feel it. And then it hit me like lightning through my whole body. And I started to tremble, and I started to feel this electrifying, shattering, buzzy energy that I'd never felt before my whole life. And I started to quiver, and I grabbed her hand and I said, oh my God, Katerina, he's here. He's here. He's here. He's here. He's here. He's here. And I started crying. And she's like, who? I'm like, my man, my man, my man, my soulmate, my man. He's here. Oh my God. And she's like, yes, babe. Yes, babe. And I could feel it even now. Mm. Oh my God. The feeling of him landing in my nervous system before he actualized in the physical material world. I have goosebumps. I felt him come home and see the light of the candle. And he came home and he picked up the candle and he had another candle in his hand where he was using that candle to light his way back home through the dark of his journey as his directional North Star, and his light found my light. And we came home and collided in another dimension or another reality in our infinite multiverse, which has been proven to society and to the world through science that there's a multiverse that exists. And on some multiverse, our souls reunited and found each other in the energetics before it came down into the 3D material world. Yeah, probably weren't expecting me to say that. But that's the real unabashed truth of how I prepared for my partnership. That's the real taste of magic and wisdom that came with nurturing a supportive environment for my feminine to flourish and to heal my masculine, and one that was in full devotion to reuniting with my soulmate and that sacred journey that I went on to prepare. And I know that some of this sounds so amazing and profound. And maybe you're listening to this and you're like, Josephina, that's amazing for you, but that doesn't happen to me. And I can't even feel my heart. And that's like magic, or that's woo woo, or that's too tantric, or that's, X, Y, and Z. And what I want to say is that this is your invitation to actually step into the world of Tantra Technicolor magic, step into the world of quantum science, which we've proven through quantum computing, that with quantum computing, that the way that they find the solution is by pulling a bunch of data from now proven these multiverses in order to come up with one solution. Science has proven that there's a multiverse. Science has proven that when we rewire our neurological pathways and through the tantric principles of when we rewire our 72,000 nadis by doing these sacred practices, and through the Egyptian rituals and magic of using the element of candle and breath and pleasure and sensuality and intentionality. You see it on my ancestors' hieroglyphics in the temple, them dancing topless, using flowers and herbs and essences and invoking that we can too, that we have the same power, the same creative power, the same divine power to manifest from the internal world first. It's through the feeling, it's through the clearing, it's through the healing. And then it's through the pleasured, embodied expression of that devotion. Not afraid to being the magnet on legs, the magic on legs. And then harnessing that power and that magic to your will, where you want it to go, and having the self-discipline to wield it, to not go to the easier, tempting places that are not actually in a line, but could be really quick, a quick snack, a quick little fun. It's like, I'm not interested in that anymore. I'm only interested in this. And I don't have to tell you that I'm only interested in this. You know it by what you feel, because I'm a real big, big, big evolutionary invitation. You can read it all over me. And I'm all about that and nothing less. And those that are not ready, step down and step away. And those that are, come step up and play. And in that playing, we will find out if you're serious or not. It'll be revealed to me. And in the meantime, I'm so good with cultivating that relationship with me, with God, with the divine, with just the energy of the divine masculine in its purest, most aligned way within me, that it cannot help but to manifest externally as a reflection of that. And so here is your evolutionary opportunity, my loves, to prepare yourself, to prepare your vessel, to do these practices, to work with a guide or a mentor that's got what you want, that's taken themselves there, that's taken others there. And the path of Tantra starts with just a single step. Take one thing from this, one thing, and apply it. Don't just have it be a nice podcast and nice to listen to. I don't take my time doing all this just to put out free content. I do this because I deeply, deeply care about you and your journey and your dreams and your desires. I do this because I want to provide the tools and the safety and the resources wherever you are in the world to be able to change your life situation and change it in a way that really helps you flourish. Because I know what it's like on the other side of that. And I know what it's like to be on this side of it. And I don't have to do these episodes. It costs me a lot of money to make these episodes. It costs me time, money, energy, resources to give you this for free that people pay me thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that travel the world to do this work at a high level. But I share it with you all on my podcast because I know that the more people that are activated and that take a single step, the more abundance, the more magic, the more availability these teachings can be all over the world, the better the world will be and more love will be on the planet. And so I do this out of the goodness of my heart to help and to serve in devotion to love and bringing more love onto this planet. So that is the question answered in a very detailed, wanted to do my best to really be honest, to talk about it, to tell you what I did, how I received him, and how and where I tapped into my feminine energy. And I can't, end it without saying how it manifested from that moment when I was in Mexico. And from then I got back to LA. It was November. And I got a phone call in December. And I will say that there was one man who showed up right when I got back in November, super powerful, super strong, was like by date 2 was like, I want you. I want to be with you. I want you to be my girlfriend. I'm thinking of having babies with you. Do you want, like, he showed up so strong on the external that again, it was like, let's slow it down, right? Let's slow it down. Let's get to know each other. Let's slow it down. I'm not ready to be fully committed to you yet. It's only been 2 dates. Let's slow it down. You can be a lover. Let's slow it down. And then he asked me, 3rd date, are you seeing anyone else? I only want you to see me. I was honest. And I said, I'm seeing someone. I've been talking to someone who's in Puerto Rico and I don't plan on not talking to that person. And the reality was there was a lover that was in Puerto Rico that I had met not too long ago. And there's also my now fiance who's been living in Puerto Rico, who I've always had an interest in and always had an interest in me. And we had met at that time, it was 6 years ago. And it wasn't until I cleared my energy field, like I told you I did, wasn't entertaining anything less than someone who was coming in with clear penetrative energy, clear desires, clear match. And he was one of the energies that I cleared out. And so when this guy asked me, it was true, it was a statement. I wasn't available just to him. And again, it was not being afraid of disappointing him or him thinking anything of me. It was me claiming what I wanted and not settling on anything less than that, owning my freedom to do what I want. And it was this beautiful soul that created an opportunity for when my now fiance called me in December. I was getting my nails done. And I answered the phone after not hearing from him for many, many months because I cleared the field out as just friends. And it was him calling me and me saying, I don't have the time to talk to you. I'm getting my nails done. I actually have a lover and I'm going on a date, but I hope you're doing well. I'll talk to you another time. Boom. Something shifted in him that I was not available for him, but I was on the market, which we've never talked about. The fact that I was not pretending that I wasn't single or available. I was on the market. I was single. I was available and I was having a lover. And that meant I was open to partnership as well. Made it super clear. He's been following me on social media. All of those were really clear. And because of that one key component of me saying no to him, calling and claiming that there's another energy, the energy showed up, came in. I didn't entertain it too long. And then boom, the thing shifted in him, right? I didn't make the shift. I didn't say I want to date you or what. I did nothing. Something shifted in him where he felt me and he felt so called and compelled to start to pursue me for real. And that's how he came into my life again. But this time in a very different, very transformed way than when I met him 6 years ago. It was so clear. His energy felt so good, so familiar, and so aligned. So much so that I ended things with the other guy within a few weeks. And then after that, once I knew it was more clear and we had phone conversations, then he flew me out to Puerto Rico to see him. And it's been a fairy tale since then. Ah, yes, my loves. It is all available and possible for every single one of us. And I plan to have him on the show so we can actually tell more of our love story together. I'm not going to share all the details here. I want to do it together with him. I think it'll be a really powerful episode. So stay tuned for that so you can hear the whole unfoldment of our love story, his version as well. So what shifted in him to come out and pursue me and be so clear in his masculine directional pole. So delicious. And because I was able to receive, because I knew what it felt like energetically to be with his energy, he was the match. He was the one I saw. He was the one I felt. And I had no idea it would be him. Zero. You would ask me, no way in hell I would have ever said it would be, I'd end up with him. Like that's how much had transformed and changed within the both of us. So I hope this message is one that lands really deep and true in your heart. So thank you for being here. Thank you for asking the question. And I am serving and loving you all so, so deeply. Have a gorgeous day. Keep loving. And I know that the love that you seek is also seeking you, if not even more. So continue to be open to and embody yourself as love.